Welcome to Exploring the Cosmos Non-custodially. I wish I could be at OsmoCon in person to meet and have some fun with all of you, but flight and travel issues for most of our team members, including myself, forced us to cancel our trip last minute. I'm here to talk about Authz and non-custodial solutions and some of the cool things that we can accomplish with them, as well as about Yieldmos and how we're utilizing Authz. I'm Gio, and I'm one of the developers of Dexmos and Yieldmos. I'm also a programmer and a crypto enthusiast. Before we get to Authz, I'd like to start with a concept called segregation of duties. This is something used by institutions worldwide to reduce risk and establish internal controls. Consider a fund manager. Generally speaking, no single individual has unilateral authority to move large amounts of money. There are a bunch of controls in place to minimize this risk, including tasks and sign-offs by other individuals at the institution before the money is transferred. In broad strokes, this is what Authz has introduced to the Cosmosverse. So what is Authz? It's a module that lets cosmonauts give permissions to someone else to send a transaction, meaning to perform an action or an operation on their behalf. Authz was first introduced in Cosmos SDK version 0.43. Let's step back and think about Authz in a more concrete way. The first example that came to my mind was a Google Doc. If you create one of these, there are three main permissions that you can grant someone. They can view the document, they can edit the document, or they can be the owner of the document. Without having ownership, the person you authorized can still view and or edit it. This concept of delegating permissions without handing over ownership has been around in the IT world for a long time. Authz lets us do something similar, but for your funds within the Cosmos ecosystem. We've been used to giving up custody over funds to a protocol or to a smart contract or to another wallet address, and then whoever has custody of those funds has unilateral control to do whatever they want with those assets. Some of it good, some of it bad. Utilizing Authz grants is a paradigm shift for all of us, which enables non-custodial apps and protocols. This allows you to maintain full custody of your assets while delegating permissions that allow others to perform certain actions on your behalf. Although Authz is a fairly young module, in my opinion, it has a huge potential. I believe Authz minimizes the risks associated with custodial products and helps you reduce some risk in your portfolio. How does Authz work? Say for yield strategies, you can grant somebody a permission to claim your staking rewards, and you can then grant them a separate permission to stake those rewards on your behalf with the validators of your choice. This can also work for osmosis pools. You can grant someone permissions to compound your daily rewards in the same non-custodial fashion. This requires 4 additional Authz grants. Add liquidity to a pool with 1 asset, add liquidity to a pool with 2 or more assets, bond that liquidity, or instead perform a superfluid bond and delegate. So what are some of the pros and cons of Authz? I think the biggest benefit is the reduction of custodial risk. You're able to grant these permissions and have an app or a protocol manage your funds on your behalf. And at no time are you giving up custody of these assets to anybody. At no time. Of course, you have to make sure that you are only granting the permissions that you are comfortable with. Because there are permissions out there that can rug you. You could inadvertently grant somebody the permission to send themselves tokens from your wallet, or to send tokens to another network address that you don't control. That might be bad, but as long as you make sure to only give out permissions that you are comfortable with, then I believe you do reduce your exposure. How can you make sure you're only granting the desired permissions? Until very recently, that was nearly impossible. Thanks to Kaku from Team Yieldmos, as of a couple weeks ago, when you sign and broadcast a transaction in Keplr, you can actually see and understand the grants that you are delegating to another wallet. Kaku did a bunch of work and made a PR that was then accepted by Josh and team. So instead of seeing gibberish of letters and numbers, you get a human readable message of the exact permissions that you are delegating, which significantly reduces the chance that you might grant the wrong permission. The main con I see with Authz is the current lack of ledger support. Due to a bug in the Cosmos SDK, no network is able to use ledgers with Authz. However, the Osmosis devs were awesome enough to get Osmosis to hopefully one day support ledgers with Authz before the SDK 4.46 comes out, where it will be fixed for all chains, for which we are super appreciative and grateful for. And a big shout out to Roman for doing all of the hard work. We've heard that ledger support might be released with version 10, but we know there are some bigger things to worry about right now, so stay tuned on this. So how can we utilize Authz to benefit cosmonauts? Well, Yieldmos is utilizing Authz and deploying non-custodial solutions for yield generation across the Cosmos ecosystem. Users can boost yields by having Yieldmos auto-compound on their behalf while never giving up custody of their assets. Currently, Yieldmos can compound your Osmo, Juno, and Atom staking rewards non-custodially. While this is similar to Restake, we do support every single active validator out of the box. There is no integration required between us and the validator. We also allow you to specify allocations, so you can choose how much to delegate to each validator, and even choose not to delegate a portion of your rewards. And we're looking to expand this strategy to many more chains. We're also just about ready to launch Osmosis Pool Reward Compounding. What's cool about this strategy is that you will not have to unbond your current liquidity, which means you won't lose out on yield like you would if you unbonded, and of course, you don't have to give up custody. With the recent release of version 9, and as soon as the Osmosis network is back up, this strategy will launch. A big shout out to Dev, who got all the custom Osmosis Authz grants working. There's a lot more in the pipeline. We've been looking at Authz to see how we can make improvements to it. There are already 2 permissions that can be locked down, meaning some additional permissioning can take place. For example, with the token send grant, you can lock it down to an address, an expiration, and an amount. But that's not enough. We would like to add a time component to this. For example, if a service wanted to take a % of your staking rewards or a % of your LP rewards once every 24 hours, think like a performance fee. That sort of mechanism doesn't exist right now. Another improvement we're looking at, based on a suggestion from a community member, is the IBC message transfer permission. As it currently stands, that is absolute, meaning that when you grant that to another wallet, they have the ability to send your funds to any other network address anywhere in the IBC. So we're looking into a way to lock that down so that you can specify an address at the time of the grant. That way, if you wanted to have Yieldmos claim your Hua Hua staking rewards, send them to Osmosis, swap them for Osmo, and then stake that Osmo, you would have to give Yieldmos the permission to send from your Hua Hua address to your Osmosis address. Like I said before, we want to see how far we can take Authz to maximize benefits to users. And that leads me to my final point, which is that we really want Yieldmos to be community driven. We've already gotten a bunch of ideas from users about additional yield opportunities that could be possible in the Cosmosverse. So please reach out to us. You can find us on Twitter, Discord, and yieldmos.com. With that, I hope I have given you insight into the possibilities of Authz, as well as how Yieldmos is utilizing it for non-custodial solutions. Thank you, and have a fantastic OsmoCon.